the love affair that may be hurting you. For millions of people around the world, coffee is more than just a beverage. It's a ritual, a comfort, even a companion. It greets us in the morning, fuels our workdays, and offers warmth during conversations. It's on our desks, in our hands during commutes, and featured in our favorite social media photos. But what if the very thing we cherish most is slowly hurting the one organ we depend on the most, our heart? This isn't a scare tactic. It's a reality many refuse to see. For decades, the conversation around coffee has been dominated by benefits, alertness, antioxidants, productivity. But behind the glossy image and seductive aroma lies a complex and often misunderstood relationship with our cardiovascular health. What we'll uncover today isn't just about caffeine. It's about how coffee as a lifestyle habit might be silently sabotaging the organ that beats over 100,000 times per day, just to keep us alive. Most people assume that unless they feel chest pain or fatigue, their heart is fine. But heart disease is rarely loud in the beginning. It whispers in small changes, in sleep patterns, in stress tolerance, in the way your body reacts to that second or third cup. What you dismiss as just being tired or just a fast heartbeat could be your heart begging for attention. This video is not meant to demonize coffee or create fear. It's meant to bring clarity, especially to those who never connected their daily brew with their rising blood pressure, persistent anxiety, or trouble sleeping. We'll explore how coffee affects your heart over time, from your blood vessels to your nervous system, your hormones to your hydration levels. And we'll also talk about who is most at risk. Because the truth is, not all hearts handle caffeine the same way. For some, 1 cup a day is harmless. For others, it's a ticking time bomb. So as we begin this journey through 10 powerful chapters, I invite you to listen not just with your mind, but with your body. Pay attention to how you feel, because your heart speaks in rhythms, and sometimes in warnings. Before we dive deep, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment sharing your location or your current relationship with coffee. Your engagement helps this message reach more people who might desperately need it. Now let's uncover what your favorite drink might be hiding, the heartbeat behind the hype. We often think of coffee as a gentle stimulant, a friendly wake-up call in a cup. But what most people don't realize is that caffeine doesn't gently ask your heart to work, it commands it. From the moment that first sip touches your tongue, a cascade of physiological reactions begins, and your cardiovascular system becomes the main player. Caffeine triggers the central nervous system, releasing adrenaline, the same hormone released during a stress response. Adrenaline speeds up your heart rate, constricts blood vessels, and increases blood pressure. These reactions are designed to help you flee danger. But in today's world, we're not running from predators. We're sitting in traffic, at desks, or scrolling on phones, with our hearts pounding as if we're being chased. When this happens occasionally, the body copes. But when it's daily, multiple times a day, over years, your heart begins to wear out. The walls of your arteries stiffen. Your heart muscle thickens. Your body adapts, but not for the better. It adapts by preparing for war when there is none. Over time, that war takes a toll. And here's the most important part. You don't need to feel anything for this damage to be happening. That's what makes it so dangerous. Many people who experience heart attacks or strokes report no previous symptoms. They felt fine. That's because the body is resilient, until it isn't. Add to this the fact that caffeine sensitivity varies from person to person. Some people can drink 4 cups of coffee and barely notice a thing. Others drink half a cup and immediately feel jittery, anxious, or dizzy. These aren't just quirky personality traits. They're signs of how your body metabolizes caffeine and how your heart is coping with stimulation. One study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that individuals with certain genetic profiles who consumed more than 2 cups of coffee a day had significantly higher rates of heart attacks than those who drank less. These aren't just coincidences, they're biological responses. And let's not forget the additives: sugar, cream, flavored syrups, artificial sweeteners. These ingredients add another layer of cardiovascular burden. Sugar spikes insulin levels, promotes inflammation, and increases triglycerides, yet another assault on your heart's health. So when people say, "It's just coffee," remind them, it's not just the bean, it's the biology. Your heart is not just a pump, it's the rhythm of your life. Every cup you drink sends it a message. And the question is, are you sending it love or stress? The hidden impact on blood pressure. When you drink coffee, something almost invisible happens inside your body. A shift so subtle you may not even notice it. But your heart does. Your arteries do. Your entire cardiovascular system responds. That cup of coffee may feel harmless, even energizing, but what it's doing to your blood pressure behind the scenes is a story that needs to be told. Caffeine is a vasoconstrictor. That means it causes your blood vessels to narrow. As those vessels constrict, blood has a smaller path to flow through. Your heart, in turn, has to pump harder to push blood through that narrower space. The result? An increase in blood pressure. Now, for someone with perfectly healthy arteries, that spike might seem inconsequential. It might not cause any symptoms at all. But for someone with even slightly elevated pressure, or worse, someone unknowingly living with prehypertension, this extra strain could be the final nudge that moves them toward real danger. Multiple studies have shown that a single cup of coffee can raise systolic blood pressure, the top number, by 8 to 10 points, and diastolic pressure, the bottom number, by 4 to 6 points. That may not sound like much until you realize that going from 120/80 to 130/90 is the difference between normal and stage 1 hypertension. And here's where it gets even more serious. The spike doesn't just last minutes, it can last for several hours. So imagine a typical coffee drinker who has a cup at 7 a.m., another at 11 a.m., maybe an iced coffee in the afternoon, and sometimes an espresso after dinner. That person's body is likely in a constant state of elevated blood pressure. Why does this matter? Because high blood pressure is known as the silent killer. It rarely causes symptoms, yet it dramatically increases your risk of heart attack, stroke, heart failure, kidney disease, and even cognitive decline. Doctors are now recognizing that for people already dealing with hypertension, coffee could be undermining their medications. You could be taking pills every morning to bring your blood pressure down, only to drink something right after that negates the effect. In fact, caffeine can make certain blood pressure medications less effective, leading to a dangerous illusion of control. And the kicker? Many people never measure their blood pressure after drinking coffee. They measure it at the doctor's office, where they've usually been asked to fast beforehand. So their real daily pressure, the pressure their heart is actually experiencing, remains unknown and untreated. Let's also not forget how stress compounds the effect. If you drink coffee in a high-stress environment, rushing to meetings, handling deadlines, dealing with arguments, your cortisol is already high. Adding caffeine to that fire further raises blood pressure and pushes your cardiovascular system closer to burnout. There's also the false sense of confidence people feel because everyone drinks coffee. But your arteries don't care about trends or habits. They care about tension, about pressure, about flow. They respond not to what's common, but to what's damaging. So the next time you take that first sip, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is my heart ready for this? Because your blood pressure rises whether you notice it or not. And just because something is common doesn't mean it's safe. Irregular heart rhythms, the silent signal. Your heart is a miracle of rhythm. Day in and day out, it maintains a steady beat, about 60 to 100 times per minute, without your conscious input. That rhythm is life itself. But when something disrupts that rhythm, even slightly, The consequences can be serious, even deadly. One of the lesser-known but increasingly studied effects of coffee is its connection to arrhythmias, irregular heart rhythms. And the scariest part? Most people don't even know it's happening. Caffeine is a cardiac stimulant. That means it acts directly on your heart's electrical system, the internal wiring that keeps everything beating in sync. When caffeine hits your system, it increases the firing rate of electrical impulses. That's why you feel more alert or awake. But in the heart, those electrical signals can become unstable. If you've ever felt your heart flutter, skip a beat, or race for no reason after drinking coffee, that's your heart reacting to overstimulation. While these moments may seem minor or even harmless, they're often early signs of deeper dysfunction. Let's talk about a particularly dangerous condition: atrial fibrillation, AFib. This is when the upper chambers of the heart beat chaotically, leading to poor blood flow, blood pooling, and the risk of blood clots and stroke. While AFib can be caused by many factors, recent studies are beginning to show strong correlations between high caffeine intake and AFib episodes, especially in those genetically predisposed or already dealing with stress, sleep issues, or other heart conditions. And here's where it gets tricky. Many doctors still downplay this risk. Why? Because the majority of studies look at average populations and short-term outcomes. But when you look at sensitive individuals, the story changes dramatically. Some people, known as slow metabolizers of caffeine, process caffeine more slowly, meaning its effects last longer and impact the heart more intensely. Imagine this. You're genetically sensitive to caffeine, but you don't know it. You have 2 cups of coffee each morning. By lunchtime, your heart starts fluttering. You assume it's stress. By evening, you feel tired, but your chest feels weird, like a soft vibration or an echo in your heartbeat. You chalk it up to anxiety or fatigue. But what if it's not? What if that's your heart's silent signal, trying to tell you that something is wrong? Many people with arrhythmias are first diagnosed after an episode that sends them to the emergency room. Before that, the signs were ignored. A racing heart while climbing stairs, sudden lightheadedness, shortness of breath without exertion. These aren't just age or lifestyle, they're red flags. Let's also not forget about PVCs, premature ventricular contractions. These are early heartbeats that disrupt the regular rhythm and often feel like a thump or skip in your chest. Though usually benign, high-frequency PVCs are linked to increased risk of heart failure and are often worsened by stimulants like caffeine. And here's the cruel irony. The more tired and stressed you are, the more you crave coffee. Yet the more coffee you drink, the more you put your heart at risk of rhythm instability. It becomes a dangerous loop: exhaustion, stimulation, disruption, and back again. Some people turn to energy drinks or strong espresso shots thinking it'll help them push through. But these concentrated doses of caffeine don't just disturb your rhythm, they hijack it. You're no longer in sync. Your heart is being forced to dance to a beat it didn't choose, and one it can't sustain forever. So, next time you feel that sudden flutter or racing pulse after your afternoon coffee, don't ignore it. It's not just in your head. It could be your heart's early warning system, and listening to it now could save you later. Cortisol, stress, and the overworked heart. Stress isn't always a loud scream. Sometimes it's a quiet drip, building up drop by drop, moment by moment, heartbeat by heartbeat. And caffeine often makes that drip a flood. When you consume coffee, your body doesn't just perk up. It reacts on a hormonal level. One of the key players in this response is cortisol, widely known as the stress hormone. It's the same hormone your body releases when you're running from a threat or facing a crisis. And while cortisol is essential for survival, in excess and over time, it becomes toxic, especially for your heart. Caffeine stimulates the adrenal glands to release cortisol even when there's no real danger. That means every cup of coffee is effectively putting your body into fight-or-flight mode, whether you're in a jungle or just sitting at your kitchen table. What does this mean for your heart? Everything. When cortisol floods your system, your blood vessels constrict, your blood pressure rises, your heart rate increases, and your blood sugar spikes. This trifecta creates a highly inflammatory, high-pressure environment inside your arteries. Over time, this leads to the very conditions that make cardiovascular disease more likely: hypertension, arterial stiffness, insulin resistance, and inflammation. Your heart is meant to handle stress, but in short bursts. Chronic cortisol elevation transforms occasional stress into a constant cardiovascular burden. And here's the kicker: cortisol doesn't work alone. It sets off a chain reaction. It increases belly fat, which is closely linked to TA. Resveratrol is a polyphenol, a type of natural plant compound found in grape skins, red wine, and a few other berries. Many people mistakenly believe that stress is just a mental or emotional experience, but your heart feels it physically. It doesn't care if the stress comes from a traffic jam, a fight, or a double espresso, it responds the same way. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine waking up late, your heart already racing from panic. You skip breakfast and grab a coffee. That coffee spikes your cortisol even higher. Your blood pressure shoots up. Your mind races. Then you deal with work stress, financial worries, or family problems, all with cortisol already peaking. What started as a rough morning now becomes a full-blown cardiovascular assault, happening silently but powerfully. And the worst part? You adapt. You begin to think this state of tension is normal. You don't remember what calm feels like. But your heart does, and it suffers. Over time, high cortisol levels have been linked to atherosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries. This limits the heart's oxygen supply and can lead to angina, heart attacks, or even sudden cardiac events. Cortisol also diminishes heart rate variability, HRV, an important marker of heart health. Low HRV means your heart isn't recovering properly. It's being stretched, strained, and overworked, constantly. And all of this, believe it or not, can begin with something as simple as too much coffee. If you find yourself constantly wired, anxious, or overwhelmed, ask yourself, how much caffeine am I consuming each day? Because the source of your stress might not just be your life. It might be what's in your cup. The truth is, coffee doesn't give you energy, it gives you stress. And your heart wasn't designed to live in a constant storm. Chaos. All of this feeds back into one vicious loop. More stress, more caffeine, more cortisol, more cardiovascular damage. Sweet, deliciously simple. For generations, they've been seen as symbols of vitality, celebration, and longevity. Red grapes, green grapes, purple grapes, fresh, dried, juiced, or fermented. They've made their way into breakfast bowls, dinner plates, snack bags, and even glasses of wine, all with the glowing reputation of being heart-friendly. But now, scientists are sounding the alarm. Because grapes, especially red and purple grapes, contain high levels of a compound called resveratrol. And while this compound has been celebrated for decades as an antioxidant and heart protector, in larger doses and in the wrong circumstances, it may do the opposite. Let's break this down. Resveratrol is a polyphenol, a type of natural plant compound found in grape skins, red wine, and a few other berries. It became famous in the 1990s as the secret behind the French paradox, the observation that French people had low heart disease rates despite eating fatty foods, thanks, supposedly, to drinking red wine. Since then, resveratrol has shown promising results in lab studies. It may reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, fight oxidative stress, and even slow aging at a cellular level. Sounds like a miracle compound, right? But here's the twist. In real-world humans, especially older adults taking medications, resveratrol can interact unpredictably with the body's natural clotting process. That's because resveratrol has what scientists call biphasic behavior, meaning, in small doses, it may prevent clotting. But in larger or chronic doses, it can actually have a pro-clotting effect, especially if combined with certain conditions. For seniors already on aspirin, warfarin, clopidogrel, Plavix, Xarelto, or other blood thinners, this can become a dangerous mix. Why? Because these drugs already alter how your platelets behave. Adding resveratrol in high amounts through grape juice, grapeseed extract, supplements, or large daily intake of grapes can cause platelets to either stop working properly, causing internal bleeding, or become hyperactive, increasing clot risk instead of reducing it. It's a delicate balance, and one that doctors say is easily tipped in older bodies. To make matters more complex, most people don't realize how much resveratrol they're consuming. A handful of grapes? That's fine. But combine that with a glass of concentrated grape juice, a multivitamin that includes grapeseed extract, a health shake that boasts powerful antioxidants, plus a supplement with resveratrol capsules. Now you're stacking up the doses, silently, daily, and without medical guidance. And the result can be a blood profile that doctors describe as dangerously unstable, not too thick, not too thin, but prone to sudden clotting or unexpected bleeding, the worst of both worlds. Grapes aren't bad, they're natural, they're rich in vitamins. But for aging bodies, especially those on medication, they require moderation and supervision. Because when it comes to your blood, even a healthy fruit can become the wrong kind of medicine. If you're still with us, you're the kind of person who wants to make informed, life-protecting decisions. So don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with your family, especially anyone over 60. Let's not wait until the first emergency to start asking the right questions. The sleep-heart connection. Sleep is not just rest, it's repair. It's when the body, especially the heart, enters its most sacred state of healing. While you're lying still, your heart slows down, your blood pressure drops, and your cells rebuild. Sleep is your heart's chance to recover from the demands of the day. But what happens when caffeine robs you of that recovery? Many people believe they're immune to coffee's effects on sleep. I can drink it at night and still fall asleep, they say proudly. But sleep is more than just closing your eyes. It's about what happens once you're asleep. And that's where caffeine does the most damage. Caffeine can remain in your system for 6 to 10 hours, depending on your metabolism. Even if you fall asleep after a late-day cup, it doesn't mean your body is reaching deep sleep or REM sleep, the phase is essential for heart repair. Instead, caffeine fragments your sleep cycles. It makes your rest shallow. You toss. You turn. Your brain doesn't fully reset. Your heart doesn't fully recover. And the consequences are cumulative. Night after night of poor sleep increases inflammation, raises blood pressure, and contributes to insulin resistance, a known precursor to heart disease. Your body wakes up in a state of stress, not restoration. The next morning, you're more tired. So what do? You reach for more coffee, and the cycle begins again. This isn't a theory, it's measurable. Research shows that people who consume caffeine within 6 hours of bedtime experience statistically significant reductions in sleep quality, even if they don't consciously feel it. Their heart rate remains higher during sleep. Their blood pressure doesn't dip like it's supposed to. This is called non-dipping, and it's a strong predictor of future cardiovascular events. And here's something most people never think about: the link between sleep apnea and caffeine. Caffeine doesn't cause sleep apnea, but it can worsen its effects by disrupting the central nervous system's ability to regulate breathing during rest. For people with undiagnosed or mild apnea, this interference could tip the scale into danger. Another hidden consequence is its impact on melatonin, the sleep hormone. Caffeine blocks the brain's ability to release melatonin, delaying sleep onset and reducing total sleep time. And guess what? Low melatonin levels are also associated with increased risk of heart disease. Let's not forget the emotional toll. Poor sleep increases irritability, depression, and anxiety, all of which place further pressure on the heart. It also diminishes your willpower, making you more likely to make poor food choices, skip exercise, or reach for another cup of caffeine. It's a vicious, quiet loop. Caffeine reduces sleep quality. Poor sleep increases stress. Stress damages the heart. You drink more caffeine to stay awake, and the cycle continues. Your heart was designed to thrive in rhythm, with beats of activity followed by beats of rest. But in a caffeinated society, rest is sacrificed in the name of productivity. So the next time you struggle to wake up in the morning, ask yourself, is this just fatigue, or is it your heart asking for a break it never got? The acidic side of coffee has a bold flavor, a rich aroma, and a powerful presence. But behind its comforting warmth lies a trait that most people overlook, its acidity. And this acidity, while often discussed in terms of taste and digestion, may be playing a much bigger role in your cardiovascular health than you realize. Let's start with the basics. Coffee has a pH between 4.85 and 5.10, which makes it highly acidic, especially when consumed frequently and in large quantities. This acidic nature can have a direct and indirect impact on the body, particularly on systems closely tied to inflammation, circulation, and nutrient absorption, all of which deeply influence the heart. You've probably heard people say coffee gives them heartburn or acid reflux. That's no coincidence. Coffee relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter, allowing stomach acid to escape into the esophagus. Over time, this irritation can lead to chronic inflammation in the digestive tract. And while that might sound like a gut problem, inflammation doesn't stay isolated. It spreads. Chronic inflammation is one of the leading contributors to atherosclerosis, the hardening and narrowing of arteries. When inflammation becomes systemic, it triggers the immune system to react defensively, causing damage to the blood vessel linings. Your body, trying to repair the damage, deposits plaque along the artery walls. These plaques grow silently, slowly reducing blood flow to your heart and brain, setting the stage for heart attacks and strokes. But that's not all. The acidity in coffee can also lead to nutrient depletion, particularly of magnesium, calcium, and potassium, 3 essential minerals for heart function. These minerals help regulate heartbeat, maintain fluid balance, and support proper nerve conduction. When you consume acidic substances regularly, your body pulls these minerals from bones and tissues to buffer the acid, essentially sacrificing internal reserves to maintain balance. This depletion compromises your heart's rhythm, strength, and overall resilience. Now add sugar to that acidic cup, especially flavored creamers or syrups, and you're adding more inflammatory agents to an already inflammatory beverage. Sugar and acid together create an environment where oxidative stress thrives. Oxidative stress damages your cells, including the delicate cells that line your arteries. Over time, this damage becomes the foundation of cardiovascular disease. There's also the issue of acid-alkaline imbalance in the body. While the body tightly regulates blood pH, consuming too many acidic foods and drinks shifts your overall biochemical environment toward acidity. An acidic internal state promotes inflammation, compromises immune function, and interferes with oxygen delivery to cells, all of which impact heart health. Let's consider another indirect but powerful impact: gut health. Coffee's acidity can alter the gut microbiome by promoting the growth of acid-tolerant bacteria and suppressing beneficial strains that prefer a more neutral environment. This imbalance, known as gut dysbiosis, contributes to inflammation, poor nutrient absorption, and even leaky gut syndrome, a condition where toxins and undigested food particles enter the bloodstream, and cause systemic immune reactions. The result? More inflammation and more stress on your heart. And if you think switching to cold brew or low-acid blends makes you safe, think again. While cold brew is less acidic on the tongue, it still contains compounds that increase gastric acid and can promote inflammation when consumed habitually. So while your morning coffee may seem like a small act of self-care, it could be part of a larger pattern that undermines your body's ability to fight inflammation, regulate minerals, and protect your heart. In a world where heart disease is the #1 killer and inflammation its quiet accomplice, it's worth asking, is that acidic beverage worth the cost? Coffee and dehydration. A vicious cycle. Water is life. Every organ, every cell, every function in your body depends on proper hydration, and none more so than your heart. Your cardiovascular system is like a river, constantly flowing, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every part of you. But what happens when that river begins to dry up? Slowly, silently. This is where coffee, and specifically caffeine, becomes a hidden threat. Let's make this clear. Coffee is a diuretic. That means it increases your body's production of urine. In simple terms, it makes you lose water faster. With every cup of coffee, especially if it's not matched with adequate water intake, your body flushes out more than just fluid. You also lose essential electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium, all of which are vital for maintaining a healthy, steady heartbeat. When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker and more viscous. Think of trying to pump syrup through a garden hose. That's what your heart is dealing with. It has to work harder to push this thickened blood through your arteries and veins. The pressure rises. The strain increases. Over time, this repeated effort begins to wear down your heart muscle. This effect is even more dangerous if you already have high blood pressure, diabetes, or circulatory issues. Dehydration adds another burden to an already stressed system. It reduces the volume of plasma in your blood, increases your heart rate, and can cause arrhythmias, all without you even realizing you're dehydrated. Most people don't associate their fatigue, dizziness, brain fog, or racing heartbeat with dehydration. They assume they're just tired or overworked, so they drink another coffee to wake up. But that second cup makes them urinate more, further dehydrating them. It becomes a vicious cycle. You feel tired. You drink coffee. You lose water and electrolytes. You feel worse. You drink more coffee. With each round, your cardiovascular system suffers. Caffeine also reduces the antidiuretic hormone ADH, a hormone responsible for helping your kidneys retain water. When ADH is suppressed, your body dumps even more water, regardless of how much you've had to drink. So even if you drink fluids throughout the day, the presence of caffeine may be forcing your body to get rid of them too quickly. Now let's factor in lifestyle. Many people drink coffee instead of water, or they pair it with salty or sugary foods that further dehydrate the body. Others use coffee to replace meals, which means not only are they dehydrated, but they're also undernourished, a double blow to the heart. Long-term dehydration also affects kidney function, which plays a key role in regulating blood pressure. If your kidneys are overworked and underhydrated, they struggle to filter the blood properly. This can cause fluid retention, elevated pressure, and further stress on the heart. And here's something few people know. Dehydration can also mimic symptoms of a heart attack. Chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, these can all be signs of fluid imbalance. Imagine going to the ER thinking you're having a cardiac event, only to find out you were dangerously dehydrated from your harmless coffee habit. So what can you do? Start by balancing every cup of coffee with a full glass of water. Make it a rule. If you drink 3 cups of coffee a day, drink at least 3 additional glasses of water, on top of your normal hydration needs. Also, recognize the signs: dark urine, dry mouth, tiredness, rapid heart rate. These are not just annoyances, they're signals. Your body is whispering, "I need water, not more caffeine." In the end, your heart is a pump, and every pump needs a fluid medium to operate smoothly. Don't let that medium become sludge. Don't force your heart to fight what could be so simple to fix. Coffee withdrawal and cardiovascular instability. Most people think of caffeine withdrawal as nothing more than a mild inconvenience, a headache, some tiredness, maybe a bit of irritability. But what they don't realize is that withdrawal from caffeine, especially for habitual coffee drinkers, can have profound effects on the cardiovascular system. Effects that go far beyond mood or motivation. Effects that can mimic and even trigger real cardiac events. Let's start with the basics. Caffeine is a stimulant that your body adjusts to over time. The more you consume it, the more your body adapts by upregulating adenosine receptors, reducing your natural alertness to compensate for caffeine's constant stimulation. Your body also begins to rely on caffeine to maintain vascular tone and sympathetic nervous system activity. In simple terms, your body starts depending on caffeine to regulate your circulation and pressure. Now imagine removing that stimulus suddenly, cutting off coffee cold turkey after months or years of daily use. Your cardiovascular system, which has been supported and stimulated artificially, suddenly drops into a withdrawal state. Blood vessels dilate, blood pressure drops, heart rate can become erratic. And you may experience palpitations, dizziness, fatigue, and even chest discomfort. To the untrained eye or the frightened person experiencing it, these can look and feel like heart problems, and in some cases they are. In individuals with pre-existing heart conditions, this withdrawal can unmask underlying issues. For example, if you've been using caffeine to maintain your alertness despite poor sleep or chronic stress, you might not realize that your cardiovascular system has been overextended for a long time. When the caffeine is removed, the body crashes and the heart struggles to recalibrate. Let's take a real scenario. Someone wakes up and skips their usual coffee. They start feeling sluggish, but they push through. Then come the headaches. Their heart begins to feel off. It beats slower, then faster, then erratic. They feel lightheaded. Their chest feels tight. Panic sets in. They go to urgent care, fearing the worst. The EKG comes back borderline. Doctors can't explain it. What happened? In many cases, this is caffeine withdrawal affecting the autonomic nervous system. And it doesn't always take a full stop to trigger symptoms. Even reducing your intake too quickly can cause instability, especially in people who are caffeine sensitive or who already have heart rate variability issues. Another layer to this is anxiety. Caffeine fuels the fight or flight response. When it's removed, the sudden drop in cortisol and adrenaline can cause emotional turbulence. That emotional crash, combined with the physical fatigue, puts stress on your heart. It may not be a heart attack, but it feels close, and your heart is still paying the price. There's also the blood sugar factor. Many people use coffee to suppress appetite or increase mental energy in the absence of food. But caffeine withdrawal can cause blood sugar crashes, which in turn can make the heart race or feel weak, again mimicking cardiovascular symptoms. And let's not forget sleep. People who quit caffeine often experience intense sleepiness, which the body interprets as a signal to slow down all systems, including the heart. But in a weakened or poorly nourished state, this slowing can feel like something more serious. In rare cases, it can even trigger bradycardia, a slower than normal heart rate, especially in athletes or those with low resting heart rates. So, what's the takeaway here? Caffeine withdrawal is not just in your head. It has real physiological consequences. And when it comes to the heart, sudden changes in rhythm, pressure, and hormonal balance can lead to confusion, fear, and in some cases, medical emergencies. The best way to reduce coffee intake, if you choose to, is gradually. Taper your consumption. Swap 1 cup a day for a non-caffeinated alternative. Support your body with electrolytes, proper hydration, B vitamins, and magnesium, all of which help your nervous system rebalance and your heart recalibrate. Above all, listen to your body. If your heart is acting up, don't just blame stress or age. Think about what you've introduced or removed from your daily habits. Your heart remembers everything, especially what you used to depend on. Genetic sensitivity, why some hearts break faster. We often look at our health habits and assume the outcomes will be the same for everyone. One person drinks coffee and feels energized. Another drinks the same amount and ends up anxious, sweaty, or even dizzy. Why? The answer lies not in the coffee itself, but in our genes. Genetic sensitivity to caffeine is one of the most overlooked but critical factors when it comes to heart health. It's not about how strong your coffee is or how many cups you drink. It's about how your body processes caffeine, and some bodies are simply not built for it. Let's talk about a gene called CYP1A2. This gene determines how quickly your liver breaks down caffeine. Some people have a fast version of this gene. They metabolize caffeine quickly and efficiently. Others have a slow version, and for them, caffeine lingers in the bloodstream for hours, overstimulating the heart, nervous system, and adrenal glands long after the cup is empty. If you're a slow metabolizer, even 1 or 2 cups of coffee can lead to serious consequences. Studies have shown that people with the slow version of CYP1A2 who consume just 1 to 2 cups of coffee per day have a significantly higher risk of heart attacks and high blood pressure, especially if they also have other cardiovascular risk factors. These people don't always feel jittery or unwell right away. Often, the damage is silent and accumulative. You might not know you're a slow metabolizer until it's too late. Now think about how this plays out over time. A person unaware of their sensitivity drinks coffee every morning. Their heart is quietly overstimulated every single day. Their blood vessels remain slightly constricted. Their sleep is a little shallower. Their blood pressure runs a little higher. And year after year, these little things add up, until one day they're sitting in an ER wondering how it happened. That's the danger of genetic sensitivity. You can't feel it until it's already harmed you. There are other genes involved too. The ADORA2A gene, for example, affects how caffeine binds to adenosine receptors in the brain. Some variants make people more prone to anxiety, insomnia, and cardiovascular effects, even with minimal caffeine intake. We tend to assume that if someone else can handle 5 cups of coffee a day with no obvious problem, we should be able to as well. But that's like assuming everyone can eat peanuts or dairy. It simply doesn't work that way. Your genes decide your thresholds, not your preferences. And here's the most dangerous part. High-performance people, entrepreneurs, professionals, even athletes, are often the ones who push through their warning signs. They rely on caffeine to keep going, ignoring the fatigue, the racing heart, or the subtle chest tightness. They attribute it to stress or overwork. They don't realize that they may be genetically unfit for caffeine. Today, there are DNA tests that can reveal your caffeine metabolism profile, but most people never take them. They go their whole lives believing coffee is harmless because everyone drinks it. Meanwhile, their heart may be under constant assault. So what can you do? Pay attention. If caffeine gives you anxiety, disrupts your sleep, causes palpitations, or makes you feel off, listen to your body, not the marketing. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's safe for you. Your genetic code isn't something you can change. But your habits? Those are fully within your control. And sometimes, the most powerful form of self-care isn't adding something, but removing the thing that's silently hurting you. Because not all hearts break loudly. Some just beat a little faster, a little harder, until they can't anymore. The safer path forward. By now, you may be feeling a mixture of concern and clarity. You've learned how coffee, beloved and trusted by millions, may be silently compromising your cardiovascular health. But this story doesn't end in fear. It ends in empowerment. Because awareness isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a new, safer path forward for your heart. First, understand this. You don't have to quit coffee overnight. You don't have to give up the ritual, the warmth, or even the flavor. What you do need to give up is the blind dependence. The habit of reaching for caffeine without asking if it's helping or hurting you. Start by observing your body. Keep a journal for just 1 week. Write down how you feel after each cup. Your heart rate, your mood, your sleep, your hydration. Pay attention to what you usually ignore. You might be surprised at how much your body has been trying to tell you. Next, consider gradual reduction. If you drink 4 cups a day, start with 3, then 2. Replace 1 cup with herbal tea or warm lemon water with a touch of honey and cinnamon, both heart-supportive. You can also experiment with chicory root, dandelion coffee, or adaptogenic blends like ashwagandha or reishi mushroom, which support energy without taxing the heart. Switching to decaffeinated coffee can be a good transition step, but be cautious. Not all decaf is safe. Some use chemical solvents in the process. Look for Swiss water processed decaf, which uses water instead of harsh chemicals and preserves more of the coffee's natural antioxidants without overstimulating your heart. Also, rebuild the foundation that caffeine has been covering up. Sleep. Make it a priority, not a luxury. Turn off screens, create routines, and allow your heart the nighttime rest it needs. Nutrition. Eat real whole foods rich in magnesium, potassium, B vitamins, and omega-3s, nutrients your heart craves. Movement. Gentle daily activity, like walking, yoga, or swimming, enhances circulation and reduces pressure without needing stimulants. Hydration. Make water your first drink in the morning, not coffee. Rehydrate your blood and cells before introducing anything else. Breathwork and meditation. Just 5 minutes a day can shift your nervous system out of fight or flight and back into balance. No caffeine required. It's also essential to rewire how you think about energy. You don't need to be on all the time. Real energy isn't wired. It's calm, focused, and sustainable. Coffee gives you a surge, and then a crash. The body gives you energy when you take care of it, not when you push it past its limits. And if you're someone who already struggles with heart disease, high blood pressure, or sleep disturbances, talk to your doctor about your caffeine intake. You'd be shocked how often reducing coffee intake improves symptoms within days. Remember this: taking care of your heart is an act of long-term love. It means protecting the engine that powers every moment of your life. Your heart doesn't need jolts or pressure. It needs rhythm, rest, respect. You can still enjoy comfort. You can still savor morning rituals. You can still live fully. You just have to do it consciously. So if coffee has been your crutch, your reward, your lifeline, it's okay. You're not alone. But now you know. And with that knowledge, you can choose a different path. One where your heart no longer has to suffer in silence. Protect your heart. Today. Your heart has been with you since the very first moment of your life, beating without rest, without complaint, through every joy, every loss, every night of bad sleep, and every morning full of stress and caffeine. It has been your quiet warrior. And it still is. But even warriors get tired. Today, you've heard the truth about coffee, the side of the story most people don't want to talk about. Not because coffee is evil, but because your heart deserves the full truth. Because small daily habits can create either slow healing or slow harm. The choice is not about fear, it's about freedom. The freedom to feel your best. The freedom to sleep deeply. The freedom to wake up without needing to jolt your system. The freedom to live without a racing heart or a silent risk lurking in your bloodstream. And that freedom begins with awareness, with intention, with the courage to ask, is this habit still serving me? So here's what you can do, starting today. Reevaluate your caffeine habits. Replace just 1 cup this week with something heart-friendly. Start drinking more water, especially before your first cup. Track your heartbeat. Feel your rhythm. Don't ignore the signs. Talk to your doctor, especially if you have hypertension, insomnia, or palpitations. Share this message with a friend, a parent, a partner, someone whose heart you care about. Because what you've just learned can save lives. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below and tell us, how much coffee do you drink a day? What's one change you're willing to try starting today? And if this video opened your eyes, if it made you think, or if you learned something that could help you or someone you love, please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with someone who needs it. That single action could be the difference between health and harm. Your heart isn't just a muscle, it's your rhythm, your story, your life. Let's give it the love and the peace it truly deserves.